Good evening. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Health on Monday, May 5th. It was starting at 5:03. We have absent from our board today, Chairman Joe Kasna and meeting member Bill Caval. We have some bills to pass around, but before we do that, or while we're doing that, how about we look at this variance that we have before us so we can get Mr. Nelson in and out of here in a timely manner. Here's the look of it. We can invite you to the table. Come join us and propose to us what you would like to see us.
Good evening. My name is Steve Nelson. I'm a registered sanitarian. And I've been working on this, a septic system repair at 161 Road. Fairly simple project here. The septic tank is old and condition is unknown. The septic system is in failure. So what we're proposing is to pump, crush, and fill the original septic tank, abandon the leach field in place, and install a new 1,500-gallon tank, connect to the existing piping in the house. Bringing it out, we did a couple of perk tests on this lot. As you see, test pit 1 was abandoned, was not particularly suitable soil. And so we worked our way toward the back and we found some very good, coarse single grain sand. So that minimized the size of the leach field. So the reason for the variance is that the back of the property slopes up just a little bit, a couple of feet. And by the time we made pitch from the septic tank out to the leaching chambers, we were about 4 feet deep, which is about a foot. We're asking for like a 1 foot variance, a 1 foot local upgrade. The maximum depth without the variance is 3 feet deep. The invert of the pipe is 92.4, so the top of the tank is even a little less. It's about a little less than 4 feet to cover on the leach pit. So that is the local upgrade that we're asking for.
You're still within, if I read this correctly, you're still outside of the 5 foot depth from the groundwater.
Groundwater, oh yes, definitely. There's plenty of distance between the bottom of the field and groundwater.
Okay. And the reason that we wouldn't just put a pump on this?
Basically the expense and the maintenance of a pump. For a 1 foot extra depth, or actually not even quite 1 foot extra depth, you eliminate about a $3,500 expense to put a pump on it, and gravity doesn't fail, pumps do.
Say that again. I have a pump system at my property, and the pumps failed a couple of times, and I cry every time I look at that pump chamber. I curse this board of health for ever issuing that permit.
I have a pump and don't have any trouble with it.
You're lucky. Consider yourself blessed.
I would say that I was present for the tests, and it is good soil, it is good drainage. There was no modeling, anywhere near where it's going to be. I wouldn't not do it this way, but again.
So your recommendation to the board would be?
I would say that this is acceptable given the topography of the lot, but that's my opinion.
Given the topography of the lot and the recommendation of our agent, I move to grant the variance.
All in favor?
Oh, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay, let's do this, we can sign it.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, yeah, let me know when they're starting it. Just give me 48 hours because I have a kind of crazy week.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure I'm around.
Yep, exactly.
All right,
Okay.
we'll have
Terrific.
everything ready for you. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Have a good evening.
You got the next one?
All right, yeah, so we got that.
Let me accept the meeting minutes.
How about we, have everybody taken a moment to review them?
Doesn't matter which one.
We'll take a moment to review the meeting minutes from April 7th. What?
When I wasn't at, so I abstained from the,
Well, then we can do nothing with them because we only have 2 people.
you know, you can't, you have enough, you
Enough
have a
people.
quorum to conduct business.
So we
You don't
need to
need
add
a
a
quorum for an affirmative vote. You simply need a
Okay.
majority of those present.
You just need to put approved.
Oh. Details.
I didn't want to do.
Thank you.
So you can make the motion.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for April 7th, 2025 as presented.
All in favor? I'll second it and we're both in favor.
Well, we're in favor of everything tonight.
It's a very short board. Okay,
Thank you.
health agents report, please.
So there's not a ton. We are seeing an uptick in septic reviews for potential ADUs, along with house sale issues. So I think at some point we need to be looking at how we want to move forward as a town for rules around septic. So I know that we'll be addressing that in the next board meeting. As far as other topics of business, we will be conducting a serve safe in a few weeks. I think we've already up to like 8 or 10 people.
What's the date again? You've told me 3 times.
The 21st.
May.
Yeah,
It's a
May
Wednesday.
21st, yep. So that'll be going on. Lori and I will be completing our CPR instructor training next week. So that's kind of cool. Let's see what else. We just completed with Mass Maritime. It was part of that tabletop project for the graduating seniors that started last September. We just completed it and we had a wonderful turnout from department heads, which was super. The students did a phenomenal job. We looked at potential areas that we need to work on for in case of an emergency. They used the incident of a hurricane. And so it just kind of shines a light on areas that we need to be looking at to make sure that we have procedures and protocols in place for how we're going to respond to these kinds of events.
Kind of like the only one way in and out of Rocky Nook.
Yeah, that, and even more for, especially for the health department, we really addressed the issue of aftermath and the need for food disposal, getting people back online, because in an event like that, if you had a catastrophic outages, places need to be inspected before they can reopen, because it's an automatic closure for everybody if you lost any food or electricity or refrigeration. So really looking at how is our department going to prioritize. So first tier people would be obviously the supermarkets, gas stations, to get them up and running first, because the largest amount of the population is going to need those 2 things. And the first ones would be the medical facilities, supermarkets, gas stations would be second tier under, getting like Wingate up and running. Schools would be after that, depending on how quickly schools would be going back into session.
Yeah, depending if they're gonna be
Yeah.
used as emergency shelters.
Right, so we're looking at all of that. I so just really thinking about what things proactively we can be planning for. And it's not that everything ever goes according to plan, but at least if you have some protocols, you have a starting place
Be ready.
versus trying to do it by the seat of your pants when things are already in a lot of upheaval. So that was super helpful. And we have signed up already to be part of it next year, because it's free and we just benefit from it, not to mention that the students benefit from it, so seems like kind of a no-brainer to
Sounds
me.
like a win all around.
Yeah, it's just a great exercise, and every year will be different, like, we may focus on like wastewater and septic, in the event of a catastrophic, weather event, like how are we addressing all these issues? So that was really good. And then I will be going on Healthy Kingston on Thursday to give basically an update for what the department is doing. So that.
Well, please say hello to Janet from
I-
all of us.
I will do that. We are also, as part of working with Janet, the Health Department has been participating with Rec Department, Library, COA, in this collaborative meeting. We're generally meeting once a month. We're meeting, I think, next month, and then we'll take a couple off because summertime's kind of busy for people. And it's really about how can we do cross programming. So we've picked some generalized topics, I think we're gonna start off with 3 to 4 times a year, like, and it will be general, so it might be something like social connection, and include in that, because like September is Suicide Awareness Month. So instead of focusing on just Suicide Awareness Month, which may be very restricting, because some people may feel that it doesn't apply to them, by doing sort of social connection and how can we better get to know our neighbors or be involved in the community, that touches on that without it being such a direct and concrete subject matter. We're sort of spreading it
A
out.
little more open.
Yeah, and also thinking about different ways that each of our departments can participate in it that fits what we do. So we're all kind of working on it together.
That sounds wonderful.
So, I have some upcoming trainings, doing a soil evaluator refresher class, which is great. We get to go out, I think it's in Southampton, and play in the dirt for the day. So it's always good to, refresh your skills and have other people evaluate what you're seeing and make sure we're all on the same page. Also have an upcoming thing put on through DPH that has, MHOA. It's got to do with food truck inspections and sort of how we're looking at that.
Looks
So,
like we have quite a few. I saw the posting.
yes,
It looks like there was a good turnout for the
yes,
food
well,
truck.
we have done, some of those were from the Jamboree.
Okay.
But other ones are just independents that we felt that it was really important to let the general public here in Kingston know that trucks do need to be permitted, and if they're not permitted, they should not be operating, and we need to know about it so that we can get them appropriately permitted.
Make sure they're running a safe practice.
Yeah, like we want to make sure everybody in Kingston is safe, and we put it also, the list up because we know that people like to have graduation parties and may want to hire a food truck versus having to cook themselves.
Mhm.
So, feel free to pick off the list, and if there's somebody you want to do, your party, they can certainly become licensed. We as a department have instituted a 2-week turnaround time. Everything needs a 2-week lead time, given the amount of uptick in septic reviews. We also have some fair uptick in nuisance complaints, and we have a couple of ongoing housing issues that are being dealt with. And so obviously we want to make sure that we have time to appropriately look at everybody's paperwork. So
That's great.
14 days prior to the event is when all licensing materials need to be in. So that pretty much sums up our report at this point.
I know we were gonna touch on cesspools tonight where we
Yep.
do not have a full board. We're
Better
gonna
to wait.
defer that conversation until our next meeting. Can I just ask, do we know how many cesspools are left in Kingston?
No, we don't, not as, and
Okay.
it's becoming an increasing problem. Because Title V is written such that there is some, I use that word carefully, some cases where it may be okay to keep.
Mhm.
But they're few and far between, but because people like to Google, they don't really read past the can be approved part, and so we have a situation where I had to reach out to DEP and get guidance because this was such an old situation. It turns out it shouldn't have been installed in the first place under 1962 Article 11. That what was installed wasn't even appropriate back then. And so this should have never come to fruition as it is. It's no tank, no box. So it has to be replaced, and the property in question, the people that are trying to sell it were quite demanding about that it should pass, and I think also the issue becomes education of Title V inspectors who, you know, I think most of the ones we have around here try and do a really good job. But again, if we're not really reading Title V fully, we can be passing things that maybe need a further look. So, and you really, at the time of transfer, it makes sense to be upgrading our cesspools for a number of reasons, mainly water quality and those issues. So
Yep,
that's
we know
why we're
there's a
gonna,
Great
address
push
it.
right now to improve water quality.
yeah, so that's why we're gonna bring it to the table.
That was
Okay,
I look
perfect.
forward to that conversation when we.
Will our loan program cover that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For the homeowner, let's just clarify that.
Yeah.
There's stipulations on how you can use the betterment loan, but yes, in 99.9% of the cases, it is covered by a betterment loan.
Okay. Any business that we have not covered that people need to bring up? Joe's usually got some words for that.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like our next regular meeting will be May 19th, unless otherwise
Posted.
posted. Yeah, I was checking
Yep.
the date to make sure we were right.
You're right.
Okay,
Move to adjourn if we have no additional business.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.